Eros, to me, is the danger zone. Eros is the kind of love between a man and a woman. So it has to do with sexual relations. It's supposed to be male and female. I understand they've been changing it lately. Now I want you to write down some words that are connected to the word eros that are shocking. When they translated this Greek word eros, and they tried to describe what was meant by eros. What we call love is not love, it is eros. And eros means a craving, a longing, and a desire. Craving, longing, and a deep desire. Eros is described as love which desires to have or take possession of. Eros means I want you no matter what it costs me. The word is also used to describe sensual lust. And this word eros, if you want to write a sentence down that may make you feel bad, when it was translated again, they translate it like this. It is a love that leaves moderation behind, leaves proportion far behind. It forgets all reason. It forgets all will and discretion on the way to ecstasy. You got to buy the tape. This is the love then that completely violates the other for self. It has no sensitivity. All it wants is to fulfill itself. That's eros. Now we find out some things about eros that are a little shocking, and I want to deal with eros a little bit because I think eros is our major problem in the world today. And I think you as a sensible human being want to make sure that you stay out of this area and call it something else. Sometimes we get into eros and we start calling it something else. Eros was profusely used by the Greeks, and they named one of their gods, the god of fertility, Eros. Now if you read Greek literature, you'll find them talking about going to the temple of Eros and worshipping Eros. This is the word, and this is where they got it from. The Greeks were very much delighted about bodily beauty and sensual desires. Their whole society was built on the physical appearance. Now those of you who studied fine arts, like myself, one of the things you had to study is Greek art, and the most beautiful statues in history, even to this day, were performed by the Greeks, created by the Greeks. Why? The Greeks considered the human body the climax and the apex of creation. If you look at some of the Greek statues, they have a lot of naked men or naked women modeling and laying off and so forth. The Greeks were into the human body. They could describe the human body. They knew every part. They could sculpture the human body so easily because they were infested by it. They worshipped the human being, the body. You heard of this new teaching that's coming out lately. It's called humanism. It's an old teaching, really. It's from the Greeks. And the Greeks considered man as, the apex to be worshipped. And so the Greeks had a twisted idea about the human body. They used to worship it. And all over the cities of the Greeks, you'd find these statues of beautiful human figures. I mean, right to the letter. It was really impressive. Well, the Greeks, they were excited about bodily beauty and sensual desires found expression here in the Greek culture. Now, because the human body was a very important thing to them, they said that the god of Eros, which is the god of sex, which is the god of cravings and lust and longing, had to be satisfied. And so they named him Eros. It's where we get our word erotic from, and it's where we get our erotic movies and our erotic books and all the filth that's coming out and has been out for all these years. It's nothing new. And what the world has done is the world has called this love. And the world actually has become so blinded that they actually say you can make this. They call it making love. The world is so dumb and so blind that they worship this. We have gone back to the pagans and don't know it. The world will do anything just for a climax. Well, most of us were brought up in this world, and that's the sad part, because 40 to 50% of our lives have been attacked by this philosophy. The first thing that a child sees when he's growing up in our society is probably a man and woman kissing on television. And I mean from the age of 2 and 3. That's where it starts. And he goes to the store with his parents and probably looks at a magazine and he sees a man and a woman kissing again. And everywhere he goes, you see billboards with advertising cigarettes or something. They see a man kissing a woman. This word eros has a mystical understanding as well in the Greek context. The Greeks sought to reach and go beyond what they call normal human limitations. That was their desire, to reach beyond normal human limitations in order to obtain what they called perfection. So, because of this drive to exceed human limitation, they began to develop what they call the fertility cult. Now, the fertility cult is something that's very common around. It has been revived in our time. And the fertility cult is a cult that is built on fertility, which means intercourse. The ability to reproduce, the reproductive organs are the center of the cult. I mean, we have gone abase. That is why there are cities even today that are built on homosexuality, lesbianism. They have gone back to the cult of Eros. We were in Trinidad last year, and we drove past this movie house. And as we drove past the movie house, I saw the name of the movie house that on the front. And they called it Erotique. And that was the name of the movie house. So my mind flashed back, and then the knowledge came bubbling up like a spring. And I turned to our host and I said, "Are they serious about the name on that place?" He said, "Yeah." I said, Who goes there?" He says, "Everybody. The young kids, everybody go see movies." I said, "Has anyone ever asked what's the name of that place mean?" They named it the god of sex and didn't realize it. So the Greeks developed this futility cult, and it is also a very strong part of the Oriental culture. Futility, cultic, mystery religions, and their fascination is with generating eros in nature. Now, let me explain to you how serious they are about eros, and you're going to see how true it is today. Eros, in nature, they considered it a spiritual and physical unity with the gods, small g. And they said if you want to become one with the gods, then you need to get involved with erotic activity. Paul ran into a couple of these cults when he went to some of the cities. The Romans, like I said, they took the Greek philosophy and they, let me explain it to you this way. How many of you studied history? Yeah, in depth. You know what they say about the Romans and the Greeks? The Greeks did the thinking and the Romans did the work. So the Greeks came up with all the philosophy, and the Romans took the Greeks' philosophy and used it. All right? Now, you got to understand this in the context of what Jesus ran into when he came and what Paul ran into. The Greeks developed even more than the ignorant pagans who had the fertility cults, and some of this fertility cult is still strong in Africa and other places. But the Greeks developed it to a science. They built shrines to the god of Eros, naked people. And people would go to these temples of Eros and they would worship. Now when the Greeks were overrun by the Romans did not destroy what the Greeks had established. They just took the Greeks and subjugated them. And the Greeks used the Romans used all the Greeks' information and all their knowledge and began to develop their own society. But what the Romans did was they took the Greeks' religion and man, they really developed it. They said, you know how Rome fell? From within. Have you read the story? What was the key to their fall? They were reigning for 200 years. The strongest Pax Romam, they call it. The greatest empire, the Roman Empire. Why did they fall? They said the fall of the Roman Empire was right below the waist. Sex. The whole empire fell because of corruption, sexual corruption. Do you see how dangerous that this was?
Hi, thank you so much for watching. Please remember you can support our work on our Patreon page and you get access to exclusive content and full videos. And please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so and click the notification bell to be the first to receive newer content. Please don't forget to like and share this video with your friends to be a blessing to them.